That's probably the first big bang experience you've ever been aware of. Welcome to what we're calling the theory of everything experience. Um, so it's interesting. This is so much easier in your head than it is in real life. Um, so basically, I have to explain everything. So where do you start with that task? There's so many different ways to go, but which way is the right way? Um, so the interesting part of this whole ordeal is that we call that this the I don't know what it's called. So past what is that? YouTube videos all say past, present, and future are all happening at the same time. This is an example of that. I'm speaking in my present to my future to where you're going to observe this and it will be my past, but your present. And that's kind of what the theory of everything experience is. Um, it is me trying to show how the theory of everything works. And you just had the first step. Um, so everybody, science has always been trying to explain like the wave theory function. I think is that what I call. I guess I should get this out of the way. My understanding of the theory of everything is that everything is in relate is a reference to existence. Everything that we comprehend is comprehensible. Uh, so if we are trying to understand existence, or what we like to call the fourth dimension, I have, I don't think it's a fourth dimension, but it's okay. Um, is existence is the sum of all realities, and every different consciousness has its own reality. Reality is defined by the observer's perspective of an action through the lens of their experiences, or their through the lens of their understanding of their experiences as they move towards their purpose. It's a whole lot of words, um, but it's the simplest way that I can put it is that existence, everything is already there. We're just becoming aware of it and understanding it. And existence is made up of a series of systems that we are aware or unaware of. Now, the reason how I prove that everything already exists, it's our awareness of it is what the actual experiment is, or what my purpose of doing this is. So this podcast, or whatever the hell it's called, me talking about nonsense until either I get tired of it, is a simple value exchange of it's a value exchange between my consciousness and my reality with my so if it's an I'm aware of my reality, so for me to be aware of my reality I must first be aware of my purpose. most theology will have a reference to stillness in it, whether it's a day of rest or whether it's actually saying, um, be still. I've There's going to be a lot of Tao like symmetry, alignment, flow, vibes, whatever you want to call it, to what I'm doing. Um, and it is all going to appear like chaos, utter chaos and nonsense, almost to the point of insanity, um, when you listen to it at first. Um, but there is a fine line between genius and insanity. Um, that line we rarely define or look at, but it drastically resembles faith. So the only difference between genius and insanity is the observer's faith in that what is being presented could be real, much like every other religion. So, my purpose is broken down to down to a simple sentence of my purpose is to build a system so as many people that want to live like they have a rich girlfriend can live like they have a rich girlfriend. So simply put, my purpose is to make it so you can live like you have a rich girlfriend. And I think the reason I say that is because in that initial moment of that Big Bang, you thought, well, I shouldn't make that assumption. Everything I'm saying is based on my reality, and I'm speaking to you from my reality perspective of you. So I'm trying to think of like what you, if I was hearing this from where you're at, what would I need to know to understand it? Um, so to you, the third place initiative, which is something that I've been working on for about 5 years now, um, the last 3 years rather intensely in my mind. And this is me moving it from a whatever the opposite of material is or reality or like tangible, from whatever pre-tangible is to tangible. I'm trying to move towards making it so everybody can live like they have a rich girlfriend. And this is the first step for me taking an action, um, to make that happen. Um, Actions aren't real until there's a reaction. So it doesn't matter what I do until there's a reaction to me putting whatever this is out into the universe. It's just noise. Um, as soon as there is a reaction, then it becomes real. The third place becomes a real thing that has an opportunity to evolve. And it is my responsibility as the counterpart to the purpose of the third place for me to continue to react with you as the observer. And uh, that is how a system works. You see it in the Fibonacci sequence, I think is what it's called, where you have one and you think it's 1 + 1 = 2. Um, but I don't think that that is really what's happening. All systems have to have two things. They have to have two sides, two poles, two opposites. We label them in a lot of different ways, but they don't necessarily all. They are all. They all exist in the same way, but we describe them in a different manner. And with the invention of that description, we fail to take a step back and see how they're all the same. Meaning, whatever the sometimes what we think the opposite of one thing isn't the opposite of one thing, because the opposite doesn't necessarily mean opposite. The opposite means counterbalance. I think counterbalance is a better description. The purpose of the purpose of existence, the purpose of reality, I think, is understanding. And it is understanding to achieve balance. I think that's what consciousness is supposed to do. I think consciousness, yeah, I mean, this is going to sound like on the surface, you're going to take this. This will be, if I ever become relevant in any way, this sentence is going to be used to defame, negatively smear, I don't know, whatever the adjective is to cause friction or to oppose whatever it is, whatever direction or whatever momentum the third place and myself have in that. I think humans are viruses and viruses are humans. Now, that statement on the surface sounds like it has a negative connotation to it, but it doesn't. It really depends on your perspective of what you're talking about, right? I do think majority of people that hear that statement think, "Oh my God, viruses kill people, viruses are bad," and they would be correct, in that is one of the functions and one of the outcomes that coming in contact with a virus or a human or a virus have. However, viruses also are the foundation of evolution and can strengthen a system just as much as it can hurt a system. So I think that is what consciousness is in a nutshell. Is us trying to gain complete understanding of the system that we're operating in, for us to evolve to live in balance with that system and progress that balance to the point to which that system will retain its balance. And this is where it gets crazy. If consciousness achieves balance and full understanding of this planet, it will seek to find other planets to balance, if that makes sense. But if it doesn't balance the system that it's operating within, it gets reset or ceases to exist. I don't think it ceases to exist. I think it just kind of gets reset. So a lot of you are probably should have done this in a different way, and this is going to happen many times. I have a I come in thinking that I know what I want to talk about, and I don't have a script. I don't have a whatever. I am legitimately trying to create an alternative to society, to the society that we exist in now. Um, I have a rule that I uphold, make myself. Well, I say my friends, but most of the conversations I have are with myself. People are going to think that that is weird, but I can see why you would think that is weird from a perspective of people who, during the time that they developed imaginary friends and were coming in contact with what I think is an alternative or an additive or their consciousness combining, uh, where we called them imaginary friends. Yeah, some of them were crazy, some of them weren't real, some of them were just our way of our brain adapting to the information that we as kids came in contact with, because existence is a lot and sometimes you have to invent something to process what's going on, whether you call it a dream or an imaginary friend or whatever the name of it is. Whatever is happening in your internal imagination, consciousness, subconsciousness, mind is yourself trying to achieve balance in some way. And ultimately, whatever you observe, you have to understand. Whether you understand what is happening in existence or what some people would call their reality, um, but in existence, existence is going to be what all realities agree to be correct. There's very few things that, by that definition, exist. Um, and I think that is what we need to fix, is that we need to become more aligned with creating a base of existence so we can all form better quality realities. Yeah, welcome to the theory of everything existence. This is literally just the train of thought of stuff that's coming out of my head, since I'm I'm literally sitting at a desk in front of my computer talking about this out loud for the first time. It's going to be chaos to you. Um, I think chaos is another one of those things, that chaos and stability, or chaos and organization, or chaos and whatever you want the alternative to be, if you look at it for what it is, they're the same thing. And that's kind of what I think. That's why I said at the beginning of this, you just observed a Big Bang. A Big Bang is the third place rules society and everything already exist in my reality. There's very few things that I think somebody could present to me that I would not have an explanation for how it would be handled in this system that I'm looking to create. But for you, as somebody who doesn't even know who I am, seen my face, probably thinks that I'm an AI generated voice on the internet, um, this is all just nonsense to you. So my job is to present this to you in a way that you can organize it so it is stable for you. So I'm asking a lot there because why the fuck would you listen to some random dude that just talks into a microphone for an hour at random times of the day about wild random stuff? Some of it's real, some of it's imaginary, all of it's crazy, um, all of it's insane. But remember, the difference between insane and genius is faith. And I know that it is insane to think that somebody is going to click on a link to listen to a podcast that I speak in, knowing at this moment in time, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no idea if I can even get it out to somebody to even observe. Um, but I have faith that it will happen. I don't have any rational reason to think that this is going to do anything, but I'm a I'm a very bad poker player. I love it. I think poker, in the way poker is handled, is a microcosm of how systems work. Um, and the reason I say that is if you talk to some people, math people especially, they will say that poker is solved. And this is where the religion of the third place comes in. So there is a religion. I have created a religion. It does sound weird. I'm also going to start saying all of this stuff in a stand-up comedy format. So if any of this stuff somebody hears, if it is part of whatever it is you're talking about, if I've picked it up from somewhere, I will certainly try to give everybody the credit that they deserve and that they should have. If I don't give you the credit, please tell me what we share. I think it's very interesting that we accept that math and science and all of this other stuff can be invented in opposite sides of the world at the same time, but it's impossible for someone to have the same creative inspiration about a story or a joke. So I don't mind if you take any of the content that I create and make it into your own joke. And the only thing that I ask is that if ever asked, or if you feel the desire to share, that you tell people that I also have a take on whatever that is. That may not make any sense to anybody right now, but I walk around my house talking to myself about things and writing jokes and thinking that things are hilarious to myself. And it sounds like a sad existence if you think about it from everybody else's perspective, but I joke with people and say that I'm living the dream. Um, and I really am. Um, I I wake up in the morning. I enjoy driving. I enjoy people. I want to watch the sunrise every morning. So I drive for rideshare and pick up people till the sun rises. And then the rest of the day, I like to just sit and think about nonsense and do the random things around the house that my girlfriend needs to get done, which is the impetus or origin or inspiration, whatever muse to this whole thing is I would not be where I am in my existence or my experience without the women who loved me and I loved them. Um, the women that I have had the privilege and the honor to um, oh shit, my computer turned off. Um, the privilege and the honor to share part of, if not all of, sorry, speaking of the devil, she's in Thailand, and apparently it's bedtime. Um, but I would not be able to have the experience that I've had without the women who I've had the privilege and honor of sharing a very, very deep experience with, I guess is the way that I would put it. It's going to sound weird that I am putting so much effort into making things sound correct. That is purposeful. Um, we need to start off speaking the same language. Um, Everyone will, or most people will say we're all speaking English, and that is kind of true. Um, but words don't mean the same thing to you as they do to me and as they do to somebody else. So at the beginning of this, I'm trying very hard to keep this simple, and it's going to be very difficult. But there are going to be, and I want to make sure that I'm using terms correctly so there's no confusion down the road. Um, if there is any questions, please reach out to me. I guess I probably should have said this at the beginning. I'll probably write a script next time or just wing it again until I get something that I like. But I am looking for help in getting this done. So if you know anybody who is, I'm working on getting my website up. The website will be the summary of the status of creating the third place. Um, the third place is a play on, I don't remember what the doctor's name is or whatever he was, saying that people need three places: um, home, work, and the third place. And that breaks down the systems that we have. And every system has 4 points. What we're going to call them points, 4 categories. Every system has 4 categories. Or if you're into like web design, 4 opacity points. Maybe not opacity points. What is it called when you like blend them together and you have 4 points? So we all have 4. God, I don't remember what it's called. Somebody will know. If you're a web designer or a graphic designer, you know what I'm talking about, where you put 3 of those things and they blend in together and kind of like go from red to blue. Everyone has 4 points. I think so. People have work. A person's system is family, which is family and friends, inner circle, work, which I call purpose, and then there is the place of indifference. And indifference has 2 points. You have the people that you're indifferent to that you're aware of. These are commonly referred to as acquaintances. You know that they exist. and you occasionally interact with them, and your level of awareness to them is usually directly proportional to the level of awareness somebody in your inner circle has. The opposite of that are all of the people that you don't even know exists. Those are those are also indifferent to you, and they're indifferent to you and you're indifferent to them. The other people, um, there is some level of awareness of. So that's those are the 4 points. No awareness, you have totally aware of, and you have partially aware of, and totally aware of has your family or inner circle, and it has your purpose. And those two systems contain people also. So that's kind of how we're we're trying to create that fractal, the possibility for that fractal um, growth. Um, I do have a plan to implement that, and that is what the website is going to be. I I would like to start a completely and totally community owned and run business called The Third Place. And the first thing that there's a series of things that we need to take care of, but initially we need to um, start a society. So we're starting a club, we're starting a whatever, a business, a society, we're starting a cult. I mean, whatever you want to title it is, we're starting a group of systems. And for a group of systems to exist, you must have government, and or maybe that's not right. In order to have a group of systems exist with the purpose of evolving, you must have two things: government, or rules and regulations, or rules and enforcement, because those are opposites. Rules and enforcement. That is me in this system. And then you need competition. And that is what The Third Place is. That is where competition is. And the observers that are aware of both will interact with the system, which is me and my purpose, in whatever way is most valuable to their existence, if that makes sense. So my job as the mother of the system is to give the observer all the ways, as many ways possible, or whatever, as many ways possible to exchange value. I say value instead of money because money is imaginary. So is time. These are imaginary things that we made up to make existence easier. It is a vital tool to the system running smoothly, but it should be a tool and not a rule, if that makes sense. So with that in mind, money has or is, or in my reality, is is just a way to exchange value. So since there is more to this situation than money, there needs to be additional ways up to and including money, um, for the observer to show value. Now, this exchange of value, because I need it to be a system, which is a constant exchange of value, or if you want to use physics terms, energy, a constant exchange of energy, um, for it to maintain and survive. So, what I'm doing is, like I said, making this website so you can be, if you want to be involved and if you want to be involved, you can be involved. And if you would like to help create this and be a creator of this, the value exchange would be available to you. Now, for me to make this a thing, I need money and people. So that's what we're going to do. I'm not doing subscriptions. I think that's the model that most of these places have. Like, I can set up subscriptions, um, but that's not going to be a thing. Um, my system, that the Third Place Society system, club, whatever it is a value in, value out, um, and action based system. So, for to be an owner, there will be a monthly fee of $35 when I get it set up. Um, so $35, and you'll be an owner of the Third Place as long as you continue to play that monthly fee. There will be no discount. This is a flat rate. It is to generate income, um, and the income is going to be used to create a more valuable product. So the first thing that everybody needs to do in whatever system there is you need to take care of yourself. And for me to do this and for me to be able to build everything, I need to make sure that I'm taken care of. That costs between $3,000 and $4,000 a month. Um, so the first $3,000 that the Third Place generates every month will be my salary. After $3,000, 20% of that money goes to me. That's my additional fee because the company is doing well. 35% will go to the Third Place company for us to delegate to whatever we feel is the most urgent for additional funds. So what that means is we need 2 things immediately, 3 things if we can. The first thing that needs to be developed is the production company. I need to create a company and hire people to produce this podcast. That's going to range from creating our own YouTube, Twitch, Rumble style platform, maintaining that platform along with the website that we have, So that's something we need to develop and maintain. Then we need the people to and equipment to produce a video version of this podcast because it needs to be able to be consumed in the ways that people want to consume it. That includes developing a group of people that be on the podcast to do the video, all the other stuff, the social media, etc., etc. In my mind, and the vision that I want, is a little wrong term. I don't have, I really, I guess I do want this, but I'm indifferent to whether it happens or not. But I guess it's hard to explain. So I guess I do have some emotional connection as to how it is, and I have an idea of what I want it to be. But I don't think I would be disappointed if it doesn't turn out this way. I'm a huge admirer of the Pat McAfee show and the entire team of people that produce that show on a regular basis. I want this show to be on Pat McAfee, the Pat McAfee show's team. We are, this is going to sound very odd, but we are the two poles that I need, or that I need is not the right term. I don't need it. We are the two opposites of the media system that I want to create. Pat McAfee is the competition. He in my mind and what I observe of Pat McAfee and his show is he wants to entertain and make everybody he wants to entertain and say the optimal thing to make the people going in his direction have a better experience. How do I simplify that? Pat McAfee wants everybody to have a good time by any means necessary. But if and when he crosses a line, he feels bad for it. And he does apologize. Furthermore, if you cross one of his lines, he's also going to let you know. So he is the competition because he's trying to, I don't know how to say that. I don't even think competition, but he's just the opposite. He cares about your feelings. And he does what he does to achieve his purpose, knowing there will be repercussions. And when the repercussions are not what he intended, he feels the need to take action and acknowledge the error. What I think is going to be very similar, only only I want to talk about the things from a personal perspective, but within, this is going to sound bad, but it's not meant to be, within the formally, well, that's within the formally agreed upon rules. And if it's not formally agreed upon, it doesn't matter. I guess if that makes sense. Like the McAfee show is kind of like free spirit, like no rules. So think of it like a locker room. Because I do want, I think society would be better if it operated like a locker room. That's why I use competition, because I think competition is, I think somebody uses a great crucible to forge optimal systems. Um, and if you look at the great teams and the great sports, um, they have the league, like they have the rules that are set out by, whether it's the coaches or the league or the managers, and then they set the rules and expectations for the team, the game, the sport, and then you have the players. And the unique thing about the great sports and the great teams and the great systems or businesses or whatever it is, the great ones, the people producing the product, enforce themselves. And in that dynamic of the people enforcing themselves, you have the in oldie timey days, it's the jester, um, the clown, class clown, the jokester, the prankster. You have that guy who tries to enhance the experience by pushing boundaries, saying something, um, commenting on something somebody saw on Twitter, referencing an article written about them, discussing the girl that they went home with last night. Um, um, Whatever it is, usually it is done at one system's expense, with the idea of enhancing the experience for the rest of the systems on the team. So you always have either that guy or that group of guys or girls or systems. I don't really like, I'm going to fuck that up all the time. But you have that, and that is what I think Pat McAfee is. He's that guy who's going to push the envelope with all of the systems that he interacts with, and he's going to fill all those gray areas that optimizes his ordeal. I'm more of the I think I'm more of the guy who laughs at the joke, understands the joke, understands the need for the joke. Um, but when it goes too far, we'll let you know it's gone too far. Um, so like the balance to that is knowing where, like there's always that guy that you hear about. Like he doesn't say anything, but when he does, you listen to what he has to say. Um, you have that guy in the locker room, and I think that's the best analogy. Like I'm always going to have something to say, so like that's not really a good analogy to what I'm trying to do. But I think if you can take the intent of what I'm trying to say rather than the literal facts of what I'm trying to say, you get to why I think that team, whether it's me or somebody like me, um, with a show like Pat McAfee or something like Pat McAfee, is kind of the ideal way. Um, I want information to be disseminated through the media company that we're starting. So when I get that done, if I get that done, that'll be available, and that's what it's used for. I've been rambling for 51 minutes now. If you made it this far, if you listened to it, great. I appreciate it. If you, so I don't know if I said this before, but this is really the way life goes. There is no action without reaction. Um, so react often, react with purpose, and if possible, react kindly. Um, so please, if this is something that you want to, well, I I follow the Tao vibe, Eastern theology, be like water with, flow with, go on all over part of the journey of whatever this is with me. Please let me know that you're out there. I don't, however you do that. I'm on I'm everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, X at Tinfoil HT, or it's not up as of 8:51 on August 26th, 2025. It hasn't been set up yet, but we'll have a website up in the next something up. It may not do much, but it'll be up in the next couple days for us to interact. I don't think anybody's out there that is looking at this, but I know that you're out there, and I truly wish that you the best. And I hope that if you're not living your purpose now, that we're able to get it so you can live your purpose in the future.